What's up, guys? It's your boy Fast Lane D. Welcome back to the vlog. Today we're going to be talking about 5 mistakes I made when I first started riding. I don't know about you guys, but I'm feeling the R1 today. Let's get it pulled out and get it going. I've been thinking of a name for the Harley, and I'm kind of feeling Ivy. Tell me what you guys think down below. I'm thinking Ivy for Poison Ivy with the green lights, you know. Anyways, let me know what you think down in the comments. Alright, let's get it pulled out. My neighbors hate me. Oh. Woo! There she is. Buck girl. As y'all know, we always got to start it off with a quick pull. Put it in A mode, light is green, no cops. Here we go. Wheelie! This bike is nuts! It's always cool going back and forth from the Harley to the R1. Just such a big difference. I love each for different reasons. Swerve, swerve, swerve. Alright, getting to the meat potatoes of this video. First mistake I made when I first started riding is that I went and bought my first bike in the dark. And this is kind of common sense, not just with buying motorcycles, but with any vehicle in general. So you never, ever, ever go and look at something in the dark. I don't care how many flashlights or lights are present, you are not going to see all the scratches or the true condition of the vehicle you're looking at in the dark. Always check them out in the sunlight. And the bike wasn't nearly in the condition I thought it was. There was a lot more scratches and all sorts of stuff that I didn't notice when we went to go pick it up. But I honestly wasn't that upset. One, because this is my first bike, so I was just pumped to have a freaking bike, and two, I got it for such a good deal that I was able to flip it later on anyway, so I didn't lose anything, but it definitely could have been a lot worse. Now, the second mistake I made was when I changed the oil on my first bike. So in high school, I did pretty much, I'd say about 90% of the maintenance on my car, so I was pretty comfortable doing things on an engine, and I definitely changed oil multiple times on my car, so I was like, it can't be that much different changing it on a bike. I do a bunch of research online, kind of put together a how-to. I'm like, okay, I think I got this. Drain the oil, put the filter on, put the oil back in, everything went smoothly. So I'm riding the bike about 1 week later, and I'm on the highway. Speed limit was 65 on this highway. Probably cruising around 70, just chilling, and I look in the mirror and I just see white smoke everywhere. So I get off at the next exit, immediately get onto the sidewalk, shut the bike off, and the bike's just smoking, like, and at this point it's caused a scene that, like, people are stopped at green lights looking at my bike like, is that thing about to just explode? And as I'm standing there, a girl that I have a huge crush on, I told her I got a bike, and she was super pumped and wanted me to take her out for a ride. She drives by as I'm standing there on the side of the road on the sidewalk, and the bike is just smoking everywhere, causing a huge scene. I was so freaking embarrassed. Anyways, fast forward, I'm like Googling stuff online, trying to figure out what's wrong with this bike. Nothing's coming up. So I end up taking it to a shop. Low-key stressed because, one, at the time I was in college and working a job where I'm making $7 an hour. So just to get an estimate for them to diagnose what was going on, I think their hourly rate was like $65 or $70. I mean, that's a lot of money back then, especially since I was paying bills and whatnot. So anyways, the shop calls me back and is like, hey, we figured out what's wrong with the bike. And I'm like, yes. How much is it gonna be? And he's like, we'll just charge you for an hour of labor. And I'm like, okay, not gonna argue with that. And I was like, well, what was the issue? And he's like, you just put too much oil in it. So I was extremely happy, because I honestly had thought it was a head gasket from just Googling stuff online. I was like, head gasket can be so expensive to replace. So I got lucky there. Third mistake I made when I was riding was after the oil change. I think I had lost like 1 or 2 screws when I was doing it. And if you've ever taken the fairings off of a sport bike, the nuts and bolts can be ridiculous sometimes, especially if you're not keeping track of them. So I put this fairing on and I was like, oh, it'll be fine. It won't be a big deal. It looked good. It seemed pretty sturdy. So fast forward a couple weeks later, I'm hauling butt down the highway. Let's just say the highway is the Autobahn. I'm probably doing about 140, 150. And all of a sudden I feel something hit my leg and I'm like, ouch. I thought it was an animal. So I'm like, I look down, I'm like, okay, I guess that bird's dead. Whatever it was that I hit is definitely not living anymore. So I continue riding, get to my destination, hop off the bike, and realize one of my lower fairings are freaking missing. And then it clicks, oh, that was my fairing that hit my foot, not an animal. So if you ever take the fairings off a sport bike, just make sure that you put them all back correctly. And we are approaching the ferry. Let's see if it's running today. So I'm pretty sure this is the Kentucky River. And there's this ferry that brings you across, which is really cool. And fun, because the ferry's free. But there are also some really cool roads across there. Oh look, there's another rider that's getting off the ferry. Nice, 2 riders. Hey, it's a perfect day to ride, man. I mean, how can you hate this? Not too hot, not too cold. Water. A beautiful bike. Storm, which I love. God, this bike looks so good, man. I really, like, there's this not any other bike besides maybe Ducati that, in my opinion, looks better than this. From like the facial characteristics of how angry this bike looks, to the undertail exhaust, to the beefiness of it. I love this thing. And a lot of people give the Toast exhaust a lot of crap, but I love it. In my opinion, you just can't beat the look of those 4 pipes coming at you. Like, it looks like an impaler. Like the bike's just gonna spear you if you get too close to it. Such an aggressive look. I freaking love it. She's dirty though. She doesn't need a bath. I will say that. The 4th mistake I made when I was riding also was not keeping up with the chain maintenance. And actually, the R1's about due for definitely chain adjustment. It's looking like it needs to be tightened up a little bit and needs to be cleaned. I didn't keep up with the chain maintenance on my 2nd bike. I had that bike for about 20,000 miles and I had to replace the chain. They won't last nearly as long when you don't keep up with the chain maintenance. So I learned my lesson there, because the chain that was on it when I got the bike was fairly new. These guys are nice. What's going on, man? Appreciate it. Sweet bike. Alright, Storm, let's roll you onto here. How y'all doing? Good. How you doing? Woo. This is a drug-free workplace. Nice. About to kill little duckies. Move. Swim. Swim. It always blows my mind how like tiny of legs ducks have and how big their bodies are, but those little legs kick them and move them. I can kind of relate. It's like tiny calf gang. And we are moving. Anyway, this is always pretty cool, especially when you got other buddies with you riding.
Nice bike.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you. Want one?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, man. They're a lot of fun.
Be safe.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Perfect. Hey, oh, kickstand. There we go. Thank you. And we are off. And the fifth and final mistake that I made when I bought my first bike was not buying the gear first before I bought the bike. Gear should definitely be the number one priority. When I bought the bike, I borrowed a friend's helmet, and then I think I wore some like $40 gloves that I got at like Cycle World. That really weren't the greatest, but they were better than nothing. And that was all the gear I really had. If I ever have a friend that buys a bike, I always highly recommend that they buy their gear first. And the bare requirements for gear, I say, are helmet, gloves, bare minimum, and a jacket. And then after that, you can kind of collect the leather pants and the leather boots and all that stuff once you start doing more aggressive riding. Obviously, if you can afford to do those things, then do them. At the time, like I said, I was working a minimum wage job, so spending like close to $1,000 on gear just wasn't very feasible, especially after I paid almost just $2,000 for a bike. Paying half of what I paid for my first bike on just gear just wasn't really an option. But I tell people, if you can't afford gear, you can't afford to ride. Because if you go down, that stuff's just so important. Like, you will never regret buying too much gear. And obviously, after riding for a few years, I have accumulated a lot more gear. But yeah, get your gear, wear your gear too. Even when it's hot out, it'll save you. That's all I got for you guys. Hopefully y'all can learn something from my mistakes. Make sure you lightly tap, not smash. Lightly tap, booty tap that subscribe button. And I'll catch y'all on the next one. Oh, we got some twisties. Oh yeah, come on. Oh, that was just half throttle. I'll catch y'all on the next one. I'm gonna enjoy these roads.